An apple a day keeps the doctor away unless you have acid reflux. Hello. Welcome back to some Make and Break. We are here today to practice just a little bit of sculpting. Anybody who doesn't know me will know that I'm not very good at the old sculpting. So we're going to practice today. No promises that it'll be good or anything. But yeah, I just want to make something. I said on Discord that it was going to be a monster, and then I was looking around and I really wanted to make an elk. So an elk is not a monster. I'm not claiming that an elk is a monster. Although. But yeah, so we're making a little elk today. Simple as that. I got 3 reference images here today. We're going to have ourselves the anatomical classic American guide sort of picture, which I think is the one that we're going to use the most. We're going to ignore that stock photo icon right there. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite me in the butt. We're going to go ahead and use a real picture. Wow, Junie with the puns. We got a real picture of an elk, and we got ourselves a little fantasy one, just so I can check some curves in the horns a little bit. So we're going to maybe fantasy things up a little bit towards the end, but yeah, we're keeping it pretty simple. So I'm going to start just here, and we're going to build off from that. So let me go actually and name these real quick. So I'm going to name this... I'm going to call this Field Elk. I'm thinking like field notes for whatever reason. I'm going to call this Real Elk. I like elk too. I got kind of inspired by Princess Mononoke. So I guess that's where this is coming from. There we go. We got just our little field elk here. I'm inclined to try and delete that Almany stock photo thing, but I don't think I have an easy way of doing that. You really like the fantasy looking elks? Yeah. You like elks that are like magical looking creatures? I agree. I like the one from Lord of the Rings that has moose. It's like a moose mixed with one. Who didn't get inspired by Princess Mononoke? I mean, Zelda is based off of Princess Mononoke, so like, let's talk about the level of influence that they have over the world around them. Pretty huge. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pop on music one more time for us. Ooh. Very inappropriate, but great music to start with. Okay, so color me just a little bit scared of how I'm going to start this. But I'm just going to do it. You know what? Who cares? I'm just going to do it. Who cares, right? This is going to be fine. We're going to be just fine. I'm gonna try and channel that seagull that I made the other day. Because the seagull was good. Oh, okay. Silken, I do have a command for you. It remove the CG. Remove that little CG there. Okay, so we're gonna say that's probably about as big as I want to go. There he is. You asked for a command, I give you a command. Okay, so I think I want to do all of this in sculpt. This is going to end in tears. You know what? We're going to accept that this might end in tears. So if this is the worst stream that I've ever done, hey, that's life, man. That's just life. We're going to be processing all of this in Eevee. There's no reason not to be processing in Eevee. Eevee's a lot easier for us to handle. In fact, I should change my sampling rates on Eevee and maybe do Eevee full-time for a little bit. See how that goes for us. Let's apply scale right away, because that's going to be a huge bonus to us. And now we should be able just to define our ratios. Yeah, not bad. Cool. So I'm going to think 0.1 is probably where I want to start. Hopefully I don't destroy my computer. I did lower my AC just to be cautious. Oh, that went pretty quick. That's not bad. Why is Eevee easier? There's a very technical answer to that I don't have a great answer for. But from my experience, from what I've seen, Eevee is a rendering engine that has generalized lighting. So it doesn't consider all of the lighting sources in your scene. It just kind of lights it whatever it thinks it needs to do. And it pre-renders textures. So you'll see this little loading bar up here that goes, and it'll stay white until the loading bar goes, and then it assigns a texture to the object and says that's it, and it doesn't retexture it from that point forward. Whereas Cycles is constantly editing and redoing things per iteration. So Cycles is a little bit more realistic, but it's also really hard to get the lighting to work in Cycles. There's whole courses on how to light things in Cycles, whereas Eevee, you just turn it on and you're done. I should have started in Eevee, honestly. I don't know why I started in Cycles. I guess I really care about transparency, and I didn't think about doing transparency in Eevee for whatever reason. But yeah, so if you're starting out, I'm going to really recommend that you start in Eevee. If your goal is to make a video game the second day you start 3D modeling, then maybe consider Cycles. That's what I was kind of doing in my head. But hey, that's a really bad strategy. Don't make a video game the second day you start 3D modeling. It's a really bad way to do your business. All right, so we're going to use a nice little bit of symmetry just to kind of do all of this. And we're just going to build a shape. And I'm going to keep remeshing this thing. And I think we should be pretty decent to go. So I know the way that people do this. I've been refusing to do this for a long time, but today's the day to force myself. Everybody can't be wrong. You know, you do that a lot to yourself. You say like, no, I'm not wrong. Everybody else is wrong. You know, I'm a victim of that a lot in my life. But what people do a lot, it's a butter sculpture. I've made butter. Actually, stream is done. Okay, see ya. Bye. Just kidding. Of course not. Of course not. Of course it's not just butter. The thing that you see everybody doing, and the thing that I've been refusing for a really long time, is people sculpt whatever they like, especially in character design. People sculpt, and then they go over it with a single vert and extrude new topology on top of it. And they use like a shrink wrap to make sure that it's nice and tight sometimes. And I should really be doing this myself. But it's a lot of work, and I am such a cheater in life that I try to find ways around it. But I think we've reached the point where I gotta officially start caring. So we're at the point where we start caring. Okay, so this is a little difficult. Actually, I want to keep this view on. I'm gonna keep it so I can see what I'm doing a little bit. And we're just building a general shape to start with. Unlike my normal broadcasts, I'm not going to be a person of very much use to anybody who is learning here. So I'm just going to say this throughout the broadcast today. If you were trying to learn off of this VOD, go watch a different VOD. Go watch a poly edit VOD. I can teach a little bit of poly editing. I can teach a lot about nodes. Oh, I have to show you my nodes. Hold on. I have to show you my nodes. I'm so proud of these. I have to show you my nodes. We have to take a moment on this. We have to say goodbye to this for just a moment. I have to show you my nodes. Silken, you're going to love this. I made some crazy nodes the other day. Have you never seen butter sculptures in the country fair? It just reminds me of a stick of butter being sculpted. Yeah, I've seen that. Okay, here we go. Are you ready? I've done 3 really crazy things. I did this yesterday, and I feel very good about it. Okay, so you see this little white square and this little white monkey? Look at that. Look at that. I'm so proud of this. I'm so proud of this guy. I learned how to do, like, macro math function, vector math sort of stuff. You should be. You should be holding your panties firmly. This is crazy. This is like, I'm so proud of this guy. And then this guy, I learned how to manually generate color ramps. So I made this color ramp manually instead of using a color ramp, which has its use if you're building node groups, for anybody out there who might be questioning why you would do something like that. And last but not least, I made a new Perl that renders instantly. This is like the easiest Perl in the world. Even in Cycles, this thing renders instantly. So this is like the world's fastest pearl I've ever made. And the reason why it works is because it only uses 2 nodes. It only uses 2 nodes, and the nodes do all of the work, and you don't have to rely on reflections too much or anything like that. Anyway, so this is me bragging. I just had to show these off. I felt really proud about these yesterday. I worked really hard for this dot distance guy. Okay, anyway, back to me not knowing what I'm doing. So that's me knowing what I'm doing. Good thing I was holding on. I would have been blown off. Silken? You know what? I'm going to send you to jail. All right, so let's go ahead and just build out the shape of this guy. So, we're just making some shapes. That's all there is to it. So we're going to keep doing this. I'm going to get all of this. Actually, I should be using a grab for this, shouldn't I? We should grab all that. And we're going to say that it definitely goes deeper than that. Whoa, hello. Now, this is the kind of thing that I think would be easier in poly editing. Maybe I should have started with a basic poly edit to get the shape right, but I was just feeling it. I don't know. We'll bring the hooves a little bit together. That's perfectly fine. And they curve inwards. Yes, they do. There's a bit of a knobbly bit for the knee, but we're going to focus on that a little bit later. Now, if anybody's expecting a masterpiece, please don't. I don't exactly know what I'm doing yet. We're still working towards that goal. Right now, I am just a big old dummy who's learning how to do things. Okay, so we got ourselves some legs like that, and that means we can now round out this stomach. Give him a little bit of a beer belly. Friday the 13th, I didn't even realize. Friday the 13th. I don't really get why people freak out about Friday the 13th. Where does that come from? Is there some, like, religious thing about Friday the 13th? Where has that started? When did we start caring about Friday the 13th? It seems like such a random thing. Why is 13 a bad number? Okay, let's give him a bit of a rump. He's kind of a boy. He's kind of got a good boy going on. And then we're going to do the exact same pull and stretch technique that we did before to get those legs out. And honestly, the legs being splayed like this is probably not the worst thing in the world. Okay, we're going to get that going in a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and crease the underside of this guy. Yeah, if anybody knows the history of Friday the 13th, I would love to know what's going on with that. I'm sure it's like some weird thing where like a saint somewhere like died and it was like he had no known medical illness or something. I'm sure there's some like crazy reason for it. For what I remember, it has to do with Judas's betrayal on Friday plus Jesus's 12 disciples. That makes sense. That's not really my cup of tea, but it does make sense. Okay, let's go ahead and do a little bit of creasing to pull up on here. He kind of looks like a gorilla right now, which, you know, gorillas and deer have a lot in common, obviously. Apparently something to do with the Knights Templar, says Wikipedia. What? So it has something to do with a bunch of different random stuff. Man, the Knights Templar. Whew. I know a lot of people idolize them in the modern day, especially not very cool people idolize them. But man, some of the scariest people on the face of the earth the Knights Templar were. Imagine being so comfortable with being violent. Very scary group of people. Like, even if you were Christian, your life would definitely not be better living in the time of the Knights Templar. Like, even if you agreed with them and you liked what they were doing, they are not good for business. They were not doing great stuff for the world around them. Very scary people. Also, this rump is not quite that big. So let's go ahead and chain this guy down, and we're going to go ahead and bring in his wide old hips. Make him a little bit more dexterous. He used a dex build. He's a filthy dex main. In fact, all elk are dex mains if you really sit and think about it. So let's sit and think about it right now. That elk be looking thick. You know what? I didn't ask for this. Gotta give him those tiny little leggies. What do you have against dex mains? Nothing really. I usually play dex mains, to be fair. But that's the meme. You know, you gotta go with the memes. Especially in Dark Souls. Dex mains are, like, cursed in Dark Souls. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Now, Creasing really doesn't love a remesh. Hey, thank you for the hydrate. This boy's got his troubles. This guy's riding in the 6 with his woes, if you know what I'm saying. Also, I don't know why I'm quoting Drake, because I don't love Drake. Kind of a weird dude. I suppose I could try and play Fortnite with him, but aside from that... Oh, also, I just realized we messed up. Their knees go backwards. Which, fun fact, their knees do not go backwards. For the people that look at elk knees and they talk about how they go backwards, elk knees do not go backwards. The reason why the elk leg looks like it goes backwards is because the knee... Fun fact, I've had this conversation way too many times in my life. That is the knee of the elk right there, and that's the heel. So that's your heel. That's your heel right there, and that is their whole leg all the way forward. So when people talk about like werewolves and stuff, and it's like, oh, they have the backwards knees. That is not a knee. And the reason why I'm so passionate about this is because when people draw werewolves, they give them heels where they think the heel should be. So they have a heel, a second heel, and a knee. And it's like, what are you doing? You just drew him with 2 heels. Why did you do that? And it's because they don't know. It's because there's a weird mythology about backwards knees. So, fun fact, if you're going to draw some werewolves and stuff, make sure you get the anatomy right. Learn something new every day, you know? That's the goal. Yeah, it's as somebody who had an imaginary friend that was a werewolf as a child, I'm a little passionate about this. I'm kind of an expert. What I'm not an expert on is how in the heck you're supposed to make a deer not look like a freak. Okay, you know what I need to do? I need to round out this keister. We need to bring all that in, and this guy needs to be brought way down. Very carefully. What do you mean very carefully? What was that in response to? People not knowing werewolf anatomy? What are they teaching kids in schools? Honestly, they certainly weren't teaching them anything useful, I'll tell you that. Okay, so we got ourselves this guy, which I can just go ahead and... Oh, no. Oh, no. We've messed it up. Okay. Okay. Get rid of this growth. It actually works as a kind of good-looking tail, so I'm going to use it, but that was definitely not the idea. How to make deers not look like freaks? Honestly, if he ends up being a freak, then I'm just going to say I did it. I made a monster. Success! I made a monster. Intentionally, of course. Excuse me. Also, I got to make a tail, which I'm not looking forward to that tail. It's a mimic deer. I love that. I'm just going to put a ditto face on him. Thank you for the bless you. Saf always out here being just the nicest. Okay, so that is kind of what they look like. What I should be doing is probably dividing the tail off automatically. Do I want to do that? You need to... yeah, I need to thin him out for sure. We're getting there. We're getting there. I got 1,000 things I got to do here first. What's up, Simo? Simo, did you have that little thing yet? I feel like you did, right? Hey, we got the Simo chat. There we go. That, to me, looks like the shape of an elk for sure. It went pretty well. Good. You think you got it? You think you're in? You need a reference. Let me know. I'll pretend to be the most important person in the world for a moment. That looks pretty good. That actually looks pretty good. What's up, Mr. Six? Not sure yet. We have another meeting next week. Excellent. Kill it. Think you're in the wrong chat? Yeah, Mr. Six, you're in the wrong chat. For sure you're in the wrong chat. Okay, so he's a little bit thick up front. Gigaban Mr. Six? Absolutely. It's been a long time coming. Okay, so here is the general idea. And dare I say, this is not the worst thing I've ever seen. This is not good. I'm not saying anybody who does legitimate 3D modeling, I'm not comparing myself to you. You're great. You're wonderful. But I gotta say, that's not terrible. It's not that bad. We're getting there. Yeah, we're sculpting today. I refuse to be a one-track or a one-trick pony. Too bad, not bad for 25 minutes, honestly. Now, the topology is the scary part, but that's a different practice altogether. We're gonna have to just practice that. So we'll get there. Oh, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Okay, here we go. Now we're gonna pop up just a little bit on there. Make sure we get these guys chained in here pretty well. That is pretty good looking. Wow. I can't wait for it to go to hell. I can't wait for this to be the worst thing you've ever seen. Wow, this is not terrible. We're on an up right now. For a couple of weeks, I was like, I don't know if I'm doing too well. We're on an up right now. I think it's like, are we actually good at 3D modeling? We're back on that track. We're back on asking ourselves if we're good at 3D modeling again. Hey, Joe. Hey, Joe, my little sweetheart. My little sweetie beatie. My little sweetie who's barely in chat talking, and now you're here so I can talk to you. Joe, how are you doing? What do you want everyone to know about you right now? My oldest and best enemy. Yeah, Joe, tell us all about your life. Let's hear it. What do you got going on? You're 2 to 3 times your size? As if. No, you're not. I might be a string bean, but I'm a big string bean. All right, let's do this. Are you using a mouse to sculpt? I am using a mouse to sculpt because I have no sacred in me. And if you got a problem with that, that's life. We have the same mouse. Razer Death Adder. I think that's like the most common mouse in the world, right? The most common gaming mouse, I'll say. Because obviously people who use like Logitech or like Apple mice or whatever. 12 buttons? I don't think it has 12 buttons. You have a Naga. You have the MMO one. I weigh somewhere between 170 and 200. And right now, I think I'm higher, so I'm closer to the 200 mark. So you might be exactly 2 times my weight. But that's it. You're definitely not 3 times. Logitech G305 is where it's at. I'm not too particular on my mice. I care a lot more about the sensor than I do about any, like, physical part. I mean, I know the sensor is physical. But I care way more about the sensor than anything else. Anyway, I want everyone to know, be good to each other. There we go. Is that a Bill and Ted reference? Or is that just you being a good person? Or is it both? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just very carefully make this arm because it looks weird on the picture. And I want to kind of make sure that we get this guy right. Joe seems like a nice guy. Joe's a nice guy. Joe, you want me to put you on blast real quick? Joe, I'm going to put you on blast. Fight me? I will. I'll put you on blast. I have some insider knowledge on Joe for everybody. Because me and Joe talk every now and again off stream. The G35 305 has pretty good sensors. I like that. All right. We'll do that. That is not the worst thing I've ever seen. Now I got to put that little knot in there. But otherwise, I think we're good to go. You're 352. You're right. Yeah, we got it. We're here. We got the answers we needed. Okay, so the knobbly little bit is going to come up here and make some muscles. And the muscles come up and form up into here. And then we're going to round out the inside of that to make sure that it looks good there. And then we need to make this guy thicker. With or without your shoes on? Yeah, with or without your shoes on. Very important question. Like, my dad could beat up your dad with or without his shoes on. That's the important question. That's how you solve a fight. Joel has a calming voice. Joe does have a very calming voice. Anybody who hasn't popped into Joe's stream, Joe streams every single day like a madman. Like, I don't understand how a human being can do that, but go into Joe's stream and watch some chaos happen. That's in nothing but a t-shirt and shorts. If you're not nude, it doesn't count. Joe should start doing ASMR, honestly. Joe, you should start a series where you teach people 3D modeling using ASMR, but the joke is that you don't know what you're doing. Because, like, that would take off so well. Joe and Red both Jew. Joe has more confusing name, confusingly named redeems, though. What? Can you repeat that sentence for me? What does that mean? Okay, so that's going to be our knee right there. Although I want the knee to be a little bit thicker. I don't know at all what you guys are talking about. And somehow, it's okay. Okay, so, boy, does that look bad. Joe has redeemed about picking the name of the next Pokemon he catches, but the way it's written sounds like you get to name the type of Pokemon he catches. I understand. Yeah, Joe, you got to work on that. Everyone's upset at you. And honestly, that means that you have to change yourself. Not that everybody else has to change their ideologies or anything like that, but it's actually your fault if people don't like you. That's how the world works. I should take that away anyway. I'm not currently playing Pokemon. That's true. I didn't say anyone was upset. I'm just playing around. We're just having some fun. We're just losing our minds a little bit. Boy, I hate the way this looks. Everything looks good from this point back looks good. Thank you for the stretch. Oh, I could actually use a stretch pretty bad right now. Let's focus on the head for just a moment. Let's do some head. Let's give this guy a little bit of a head. Before anybody makes any weird comments about head, we're just going to give him some head. All right, let's do a little bit of that. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure to crease this just a little bit to give him that little water pouch, because that's what they use that for. That's where they store all their water, of course. You ever play Headlanders? What is that? What is Headlanders? It sounds like a setup for a joke. Like, honestly, this sounds like you're going to hit me with, like, a suck on D's or whatever. Okay, that's not the worst thing I've ever seen. I actually like the way that looks. Really subtle. Really, really subtle stuff. It's a game on Steam. I've never heard of it. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and come back to here. We're going to give you a 180 rotation so I can see what I'm doing correctly. And let's pop this guy over, and we're going to just check. Actually, you know what? I don't like that 180 rotation. We're just going to keep it like that so we can look head on. I'm pretty good at reversing it in my brain. There's no reason to try and do that manually. And we got to bring his paws down a little bit. That's, I think, going to make a big difference to the scale of this guy. Should I have drawn this guy out in shape first and then sketched on top of it? You bet. But I don't know what I'm doing. All right, let's sculpt him. Let's do this thing. So, question for you. What do you do when you're sculpting and it gets, what is the right word? Pixelated to few polys? Oh, I haven't been using my overlay. I'm so sorry. I always forget to do this. What you do is you press Shift R, and you can choose how big you want your faces to be. And then you press Control R, and it automatically recalculates everything. So, for example, I'm going to ruin my sketch for just a moment. If I come into here, and I use clay strips, which I like clay strips, but they're not going to work on this, and I dig a little hole in him, right? And you see how, like, crunchy and flat this is because it's using the pre-existing polys? I press Control R, and now it recalculates the polys using this shape. So yeah, you're going to be using, you're going to get your Shift R to the point that you like. So I started off at 0.1. I like 0.1 for this guy. And I just keep pressing Control R every time I make a couple of differences. Thank you for the recommend to save. Also, Mr. Six, I feel like you're really going to enjoy the last part of this stream. I don't know if you've been following or if you're looking forward to it, but if you're able to stay, I think you'll really enjoy it. It's kind of what you've been asking for a long time. We're going to be doing some group stuff. Okay, let's go ahead and round all that out. Let's round this out a lot, and I'm going to bring the neck in a little bit. We're going to make that really nice Adam's apple that most of these sort of herbivorous creatures have. Give them kind of a cool looking head. Yeah, I figured you'd be okay with it. Look at that. Okay, actually, I want to give him like a nice Adam's apple. Let's give him like a good old-fashioned Adam's apple. This boy's worked hard for where he is. Also, I think I don't want to do that. I think I want to use this. Not sure if you can make it, but you'll try. There is no requirement whatsoever, obviously. You do whatever is possible for you. But I think you'll enjoy it, if you can. Alright, so that is way too big of an Adam's apple. So we're just going to cut that down just a little bit and say that is too big of an Adam's apple. Tell you what, Adam's apple is done. Bad idea. I'm okay with the neck looking the way that we got the neck looking right now. So we can live with this. Now we're going to sculpt out that head. So let's bring all of this in. Okay. That looks about right to me, and the head pops up top right here. So the tip of the head is the most prominent part, and then the eyes come out like that, and then the rest of it comes down in a nice little slope. Too big of a slope. A nice slope to a flat end on the end. Got to do some work stuff? Of course. No problem at all. Work is important. Okay, we're going to get that mouth looking really clear here. And maybe a little bit smaller. Okay, the bottom just comes right up. I'm kind of making a camel here, and I think camels are pretty adjacent to deer. So as long as I make a decent looking camel, I think we're going to be just fine to edit that. But getting that shape right is really going to be the most clear part of this. So here's what I'm thinking. We push back a couple little bits of this. And then we want to dig out that little underside of the face and make that really clear shape. And then I think we're looking golden. That's too big. Let's start here. Yeah, we got that nice little chin strap looking kind of thing, and it comes all the way up to crease the face out. So it looks kind of like that. Okay, let's round that out just a little bit. Now, I'm not sure what materialing is going to look like for this guy. Obviously, I have to put hair on him, but how I'm going to make the hair work is a little beyond me at this point. But we'll get there when we get there, I suppose. Also, I'm looking at this head, and the head curves quite a lot right there. Okay, so now we got to make this guy a little bit more... Oh! 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 We've done it. How in the heck did I just do that? How in the world did I just make that work? Okay. All right. You know what? I'm very inclined at this point. Let's just copy this guy. We're going to call this elk backup. There's no reason not to have a backup right now. There is no reason not to have a second version of this guy. He looks great. He looks like a horse, but like we're close. Okay. We got ourselves our elk. Now we just got to be very careful with how we do this. He's got a lovely little cheek, and he's got that little bulgy nose right here. And you're going to want to take that and bring it down just a little bit. I probably just didn't even need to do what I was doing on that other one. Oh, look at him. He's got a nice little bulgy nose. Okay. Now, this part sucks. This part I don't like. I think I'm going to wait on the nose. I think the nose might require me to up my poly count as well. So let's do that little ridge where the eyes are. They got those like precious, beautiful big eyes. If you've ever seen a deer up close, they have lovely, beautiful eyes. They're so like sweet looking. They look like worried mothers. They're so cute looking. Not that I think worried mothers are cute looking. I understand that that sentence really doesn't track. But they have a nice look to them. Also, I think I might need to up my scale. So let's up our scale a little bit. Let's go to 0.6. And I'm going to hope that I don't blow up my computer here. That's not that bad. Okay, so that part just scales right into here. Okay, what I really want to do is get this guy poked into here pretty deep, but how I'm going to do that is a little beyond me. I kind of want to just give him like a big old nostril, right? Like, what's the point in even debating it? I'd say do it with UV. Do what with the UV? The nostril? I don't think that's possible. He's got big old nostrils. I love him. I could do that, but I'm just practicing right now. If I was trying to put this in a game, I might take that shortcut, but right now we're just playing. Ain't no reason to give us less work right now, because we want all the work we can get. Gotta challenge yourself, you know? Elks are really just horses, aren't they? Now, that little crisp up top is really the only one that matters, so I'm going to go ahead and round all that back out. It's only that one that matters. And they have a jowl. Let's get that jowl in there. There we go. Oh my god, he looks good. Can you pull the trick you did with the fish mouth then? Theoretically, yes, but how I'm gonna do it is a little beyond me at this point. I'm not sure if I'm gonna even open the mouth. Talking about giving ourselves challenges, that might be a challenge too far. The nostrils weren't that big of a challenge. Okay, he's got those lovely big old eyes, so I think I want to poke in the eyes a little bit. Make this guy look real nice and pronounced. That looks pretty good. Holy cow. What are we doing? How are we doing this? How on earth is this happening right now? Why am I just, like, able to do this all of a sudden? Anybody who's like, you know, art is this ephemeral, like, wasteland and nobody knows what's going on, that's 100% true. Which will soon pay the bills. Man, skills that pay the bills is really the goal, ain't it? What I need to do, realistically, to make this a little too real for just a moment, what I really need to do is crack down and finish writing my book. I have been a little lackluster on writing lately. And it's been for decent reason. I've been in a rough patch for a little bit. About 2 months ago, something really big happened to me, and my life kind of got thrown in a bit of a loop. And it was tough. That was a hard thing to deal with, but I'm starting to come down from it. So I need to suck it up and get back to work. So that's kind of where I'm at. Oh, those cheeks. Okay, there we go. All right. Look at that. Look at that. Wow. He looks so good. He looks so good. I'm very pleased with this boy. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cup that head a little bit, because the head cups in right above the eyes. So his big old eyebrows come up like this. And then it cups in right behind it. And then it comes down in an arc behind the face. And it meets up with this little underside here. How that makes any sense, I don't really know, but that's exactly what it looks like. In fact, it even comes a little bit further forward. Like that. Okay, and then we're going to take this and we're going to scrounge this down just a little bit to have a really high contrast between the sizes. I think that's going to be in our best interest. There we go. That's about what they look like. And then you put shag on top of that. Wow. What the... What are we doing? How am I doing this? Wow. What? We just really just made an animal. We just made something. What on earth? You know, this is... I'm not trying to be too emotional here, because this is not that emotional. I'm not trying to make a big deal of this. But if you showed this to little baby version of me, the little baby version of me would be so happy right now. The little baby would be so pleased to be seeing this. Like, wow, you can make video games? My little, like, baby self would just love this. You're getting good in organic shapes. That doesn't mean that you can suggest organic shapes. Let's put that out there. I'm still going to make that a rule. Because it's hard. This is hard, especially if you're not in it. I prep myself for today quite a bit. I sort of, like, riled myself up to be ready for this today. So, I still need practice to do stuff like this. Okay, so we're just doing little changes. This front, like, hoof or whatever you call this part, the forearm or the bicep, this is the worst part. 10-minute Jigglypuff speed sketch. You can if you want. I don't mind. I feel like Jigglypuff's not the hardest thing in the world to make. I have a pretty good grasp of how Pokemon anatomy works. I even understand the differences between the generations and how they had different design functions between them. That looks a lot better. That looks a lot better. That looks so much better. Wow. Okay, cool. Let's pop up some tips on the head of this guy. Okay, we're going to go ahead and pop up that right there. And then we're going to add those little tips. This is where the horns are going to connect to. That is not the worst thing I've ever seen. The only thing I'm going to add is I think we want to do a little bit of that to get that really rounded out feeling. Oh, that is pretty solid. What on earth? Hey, what's up, T? T, how you doing? You busy? You a busy bee today? A busy T? We're gonna give him those kind of rippling muscles. They do normally have these weird kind of muscles. Also, you know what they always have? He does not have a beer belly. Are you a touchy person? I mean, if you like to hug people and stuff. I am a very touchy person. I grew up Southern, American Southern. And Southerners are very touchy. We touch. I run up and hug people first chance I get almost every time I'm with people. I'm a very touchy person. I've always said that I'm going to get in trouble one day if I like have a company or something, because I'm just going to be hugging people all the time and somebody's going to misinterpret that. But, you know, it's just who I am. I care a lot about people. I care a lot about physical contact, stuff like that. So yeah, I am an incredibly touchy person. No shame in that for me. It also really weirds me out when you deal with like men. I was talking about this the other day in a private chat somewhere. But I was talking about men who like are scared of physical affection and just how weird that is to me. Maybe I said this on stream. If I said this on stream, you know, feel free to call me out because I've already said it. But it's weird to me that there's men who they're like anti-physical affection, right? They're like, you know, touching people is gay. But then they idolize countries like Russia and Germany and like these hyper masculine sort of countries. Like, oh, over there, men are just men. You know, they say stuff like that. And it's like, they touch each other all the time. What are you talking about? Have you ever seen Russians? They'll hold hands. Like, they don't care. Masculinity is about not worrying about that stuff, not about setting limits for yourself. Anyway, there's my tangent on masculinity. If you think of yourself as a manly man, then stop caring about that stuff. Just stop caring. It doesn't matter. You know what? This is bad. That looks really bad. Bring all this back. Yeah, it looks a lot better like that. That's definitely the way we want to do this. If anything, I want to bring this all the way up. It's okay for people to not like touching. Like, I'm not trying to say that everybody needs to be touchy. If you don't enjoy touching, then don't touch people. There's nothing wrong with like having sensory overload or just being kind of not trusting of people in that way. I try my best to respect that as much as possible. But it's the people who just intrinsically think stuff like that's gay that get me. Those people really throw me for a loop. Wow, this looks pretty solid. Like, he's got his issues. I'm not trying to say that he's the best looking guy I've ever made. But he looks pretty good. He does look more like a horse than an elk, which I'm thinking that's got to do with this right here. But I don't know how to fix that. I suppose I could fix it by doing a little bit of this. He's a cool boy? Well, thank you. You're very sweet. I'm feeling pretty proud of him, honestly. He's got his issues. He's not a perfect boy, but he's a great boy. That looks a little better. Give me a hug? Mr. Six, I will gladly give you a hug. You're a very sweet person, Mr. Six. Care very deeply for you. Okay, we're going to say that looks about right, and we're going to go ahead and scrounge that nose just a little bit, and now we're going to dot in this. Elk are so beautiful. They totally are. Now, a big thing about elk is that the nose is actually on the side here, but I think the prospect of me doing that is really difficult. And so I think we're going to accept this as our design. I think this has got to be our closest design right here. I'm going to resculpt just a couple of times. Okay. So what's going to make the sketch now is going to be a little bit of ears. So let's do the ears. First off, I want to add a little bit of bulk right here. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and round down those eyebrows a little bit because I think those eyebrows might be just a little too dramatic for our tastes. Okay, I said that they were too dramatic, and then I made them way more dramatic. We're going to make something very angular here. Something that's a little bit more speed-oriented. There we go. We'll do that. And then we're going to round this part out. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, so the ear goes right here. I think he might be a little long. Oh no, he's a little long. Oh, he's a little long. How am I going to fix this? How in the world am I going to fix this? I wonder if I can... Okay, let's explore some options real quick. What is this? Simplify? I don't want to simplify. Front faces only. Cut, cut, cut. Okay, I'm going to do the worst thing you've ever seen. Everyone's going to be very upset with this. Nobody's going to like this. I don't even like this. No, you know what? That's a bad idea. Don't do that. You know what? Really bad idea. Just don't. Just don't do that. Yeah, he's just going to be a long boy. We just have a long elk. I don't care. Maybe I'll bring the back arm back a little bit to give him kind of like a broad stance. Now he is officially a fantasy elk. Okay, so now that we've messed up, we can just move forward. I'm going to go ahead and go into object mode. We're going to go ahead and delete our previous backup because I like this guy. We can call you elk backup. Remove that, back to elk number 1, and we're going to make some ears. So let's make him some ears real quick. So an ear is going to look like... Simo will fix it when he comes back and we will learn something. I don't try to think that Simo will do anything for us. You know, Simo is their own person. We definitely have to snake hook this. I don't love using snake hook for stuff like that, but that's fine. And then I'll blow it up from there. Okay, so this is not the correct way to use a snake hook. Just putting that out there. Anybody who wants to try and copy me, please don't. I'm a very bad influence. Come back? I never left. Simo's just doing what Simo does. Why is that not the right way? Whatever gets the job done is fine. You're just sculpting alongside? Simo, what are you sculpting? What are you making? If you're making a deer, you're going to make me feel a certain kind of way. I'll just put that out there. Tell you what I really should be doing is going all the way back to the point that I had an ear that I was comfortable with, right there. And we should snake hook, or we should elastic hook this guy out. So we're going to grab that. Oh, grab was what I wanted. Maybe I shouldn't disclose. Okay, so Simo's also making a deer. Good to know. Simo's always out here doing the most. Okay, there he is. Well, I look forward to seeing it in Discord, because your stuff is always super impressive. And even if I am competitive to the point that I'm not even like actually good enough to compete with you, I love seeing your stuff. So no ill will there at all. You've always been a wonderful person, Simo. And we have a lot of fun here. And fun is definitely the goal when you're trying to keep your learning productive. You know, it's important to focus. It's important to do a good job when you're practicing and stuff. But if you're not having fun, you're gonna run out of steam pretty quick. Dare I say, that's a pretty good looking ear. The only thing I'm going to add is the end of this needs to point out quite a bit. So what I want to do is come into here and we're going to do some rounding on edges. Like that. Is that big enough to be an ear? I think it needs to be bigger. Before we fall too in love with this guy, let's make it just bigger. Just bigger. Just go bigger. Go bigger or go Homer. Okay. Oh man, I am pleased with that. That looks so good. Big floppy floopy ears? Absolutely. We're going to mess up these ears royally in just a moment. But for the time being, I'm okay with it. The ears are the best part. I appreciate that. You got to go all in on the ears. It wouldn't be a deer without the good ears. I gotta say, I'm pretty stoked about this. If I'm being perfectly honest, this is actually pretty good looking. He's just a little long if you pay too much attention. If you think about it really hard, he's a little long, and the feet are not on the same plane yet. But that I haven't even done the feet yet, so color me not worried about the feet. Also, now that I'm really looking at this, I just had a moment to see it. This guy needs to start back here. He needs to start way closer to the head. There's a big waste of space on these ears. So we're going to bring the ear all the way back to here. There we go. He's kind of got like a cow ear, which I suppose cows are also probably very closely related. All cloven animals are probably very closely related because it turns out hooves are a very rare facet in biology. You think of a hoof and you're like, oh yeah, how many hoofed animals are there? It's very rare, and it's like a very modern thing. Animals normally don't have hooves. It's very uncommon. Also, one ear is better than the other. Why is that? Okay, so they're not rendering correctly. It might be because of how small everything I was doing is. I might cut them in half and just redo the other half. But we'll get there, I guess. The mirror on Sculpt is a little sus. Okay, so what I want to do is probably not that. I think I want to clay strips this guy. I also think the ear might have been easier to design in PolyEdit, but oh well. Yeah, we're going to clay strips this guy. Actually, Thumb. Thumb might be the one. Not quite. Nope, that's not the one. I also kind of think it is time to up our scale one more time. So I'm going to go just a little bit more, and we're going to do our best not to blow up our computer. You know what? I'm going to go 0.4. I've been debating it for a while. We're just going to go all the way to 0.4, and if we blow up our computer, I apologize. Let's see if we drop any frames from that. We didn't drop any frames from that. Okay, that'll do. It just takes a second to process now. So we're not as quick as we used to be. There we go. Let's go ahead and push some ears in. So the goal is just to make the ears cute and designed well enough that you can understand the ideology behind them. Not necessarily going for max accuracy on this, because I don't know how I would even do max accuracy. I'd have to do PolyEdit, I think. I'm sure people know how to do sculpting holes and stuff like that, but I'm not very good at that. It's definitely not my area of expertise. Okay, so let's go ahead and push all that in. I mean, that's pretty good looking. That is pretty solid right there. And now we can cave in a bit of this. If we were trying to be extra crazy, I would put the hole going into here, but I'm not even sure how I would solve that problem. Thank you for the hydrate. We will make sure to save this little baby. Oh my gosh, and a stretch. You guys are keeping me so healthy. Okay, there we go. Much better. Okay, so now we're at a new point in time. He's just a cow. It's just like a beautiful little cow. Look at this beautiful little creature. And the ear actually turned out pretty well on that side, so color me not that upset about what's going on here. Okay, so we got to do the legs, but I want to break from the legs for a moment. So first I'm going to do the antlers, and then I think I'm going to do a little bit of, noting. And we're going to node this guy up. Oh, and I'm going to do the eyes too. Let's do some eyes. The eyes are kind of crucial to me. Okay, so we're going to take a moment real quick to say, look at this beauty. That ear looks a little fishy to me. You know what? We're going to stick with the fishy ear. Fishy ear it is. Okay, so let's put an eye in here. Let's put a little bit of an eye. There's really no reason to use icospheres. I don't know why I'm obsessed with icospheres. They're not that good. Simo, I'm sure you have a reason why icospheres are good, but to me, they kind of suck. So I'm just going to stay away from icospheres for now. I'm also surprised a quad sphere is not by default like one of the shapes that's in here. Ico was an amazing game. So I have the Ico, I have one of the songs from Ico on this playlist. I really like Ico. It's kind of not a game that aged super well. I also kind of can't believe that company exists because they make games like so slow. But good on them. They like kill it every time they release a game. But like, what's their next project? Have they announced their next project since The Last Guardian? Like, every game they make is wonderful. The Last Guardian is a beautiful, wonderful game. Really cool, really interesting. But it's also just kind of like, what next? Probably not. They have another decade to make one. Yeah, basically. He looks so good. I don't know how I did this. A spirit possessed my body to do this. And I'm not saying it's the best thing I've ever done. I'm not saying that this is it. This is the best thing ever. But like, how did I do this? How have I done this? This looks crazy good. I just got to fix these front paws and do the detail work on the back paws, and we're basically done. We've basically finished this. What time is it? Okay, we got 45 minutes, so let me actually check myself before I wreck myself. We do not have a ton of time. Okay, there we go. Both the eyes are in. Let's do some antlers. So the antlers are the part that I'm going to take the most freedom on. How do I want to do an antler? How am I going to want to do an antler? I'm kind of thinking we're going to go into here. Let's get rid of the field elk. And let's pop ourselves in a cube. And I am actually going to poly edit this part. Yeah, for sure, those legs need some work. That is a weird looking stance right there. The legs are definitely the part that I feel the least inclined towards. What's that whoa nice for, Mr. Six? What happened? You're talking about the deer? I don't think deers and elks are the same thing, but I keep calling it a deer. Okay, so here's the idea. I'm going to go ahead and pop out the shape of an antler. And we're going to use a mirror modifier on the elk to make that great shape. So first things first, let's take you and pop you out and rotate you onto the bud just a little bit. Just like that. So what are you making, an elk or a deer? I'm making an elk. The pictures that I'm referencing are elks. Okay, let's do this thing. We got to make antlers. Antlers look kind of crazy. So here's what I think an antler looks like. You're making a cute deer? I can live with that. What is it? Control right click? It is. It's control right click. Although now it looks like a horse. Honestly, they're all the same. At the end of the day, they're all literally the same thing. Sorry to all the elks in chat that I've now offended, but you're all the same thing. They could be BFFs. Simo, our sketches are now best friends. As determined by T. So, you're welcome and sorry at the same time. I kind of want to give it... Okay, so I have a very specific pattern that I like. It's that pattern right there. I love this shape so much. I'm like kind of addicted to this shape. So I'm going to do this. We're going to fix this real quick. I love this shape so much. I should adopt this shape as like a logo or something, shouldn't I? That's probably like the smart way to identify with something. There we go. That's the shape I want. I love that shape. That is such a cool shape to me. And then we'll go ahead and do something real quick here. We'll do that and this. I was talking about the deer. I get distracted here. Now I'm seeing the results. That's okay. You do you. Well, Epic Games in 2020 said that they were going to publish the new Team Ico game, and they just left the prototyping phase. That's pretty good. Can't be upset at that. It's pretty good timing. Okay, so now we're here, and I'm going to go ahead and pop up like that and that. And now I got to ask myself, do I want to add anything inside of here? I think the short answer is sure. Let's go for it. So we'll do that. We're going to make like maybe like a Jägermeister sort of deer here. If I haven't told the story of the Jägermeister before, Jägermeister has like the funniest creation story ever. The idea of Jägermeister, I've probably told this story before because I like Jägermeister. I've probably told this story before, but I'm going to tell it anyway. Jägermeister, the idea behind Jägermeister was there was a hunter out in the middle of the woods. And that's not how you want to do that. There we go. That's my deer. Look at that. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and take some liberties real quick. So the idea of Jägermeister is there was a hunter in the middle of the woods, and he saw like a royal stag or whatever, and it had light coming from its antlers. You know, it was like beautiful. It was the most glorious thing he'd ever seen. And I guess he got hurt or something while he was trying to get it, or he like renounced and he decided he didn't want to hunt deer anymore. So he became a monk at a monastery, and his job was to do carpentry. And so one day he was sitting and working on a spice cabinet, and while he was busy working on that spice cabinet, he accidentally, he had all the spices in the spice cabinet, and he was leaning over somebody who was making a vat of beer, and he was leaning over, and he spilled all 21 or 27 or whatever spices into the beer, and they tasted it, and they went, oh, that's actually pretty good. And that's how Jägermeister was invented. Apparently. There's no way. Because, like, why was somebody building a spice rack in front of a vat of beer? And why beer's not a base ingredient for Jägermeister? So, like, why that matters, I don't know. But that's the general gist of the story, as it's said. And I don't know why that story has been so imparted on my brain, but I guess it's just a part of who I am now. There we go. That should do it. That looks just about perfect to me. Cool. Okay, so now we're going to take this and we're going to throw on a little bit of a subdivision and we're going to let it go kind of nutty. I think we don't even really want to do too much editing to this. Now we need to come up with the Ready Era creation myth. I'm all ears. I would love to hear what you come up with. I would be so pleased to hear what you come up with. That would make my whole life, if I'm being perfectly honest. There we go. Okay, so let's just jump right into this. I'm a little scared to ruin this, but might as well just give it a shot. So we're going to post on a subdivision surface of 3. Actually, already looks pretty good. Already looks pretty good, if I'm saying so myself. You know what? We're just going to go for it. There's no reason not to just go for it, so we're going to go for it. So, when you're looking at these, that's a good-looking boy. He does look good, doesn't he? He's just like a crazy-looking boy. He looks so great. Oh, actually, I didn't apply scale. Let's apply scale real quick. While we're deep in nostalgia and stuff like that, I will say this song is from a game called Her Majesty. It's a cool, like, decision politic sort of game. It's very, very interesting. Really, really, like, sophisticated game design. And the whole idea of it... The whole idea of this game is you are a queen and you control a kingdom. And the general idea is you're at odds with the world around you because you're like a woman leader and you're making all these decisions and people are trying to take advantage of you and there's like women that are being empowered by you and all sorts of stuff, right? It's a very cool game. It's a very simple game. It's all done with cards. But the soundtrack is top tier. Really cool soundtrack. And this song in particular, which I believe is called Heavy Labor, it taught me something really important. It taught me that when you are writing melodies for songs, you can just repeat the same note. So it has a melody that goes... And just knowing that you can like take a note and do it over and over and over again like that, using just timing to be the interesting part, I had never thought to do that in my own music. And my music has improved as a result of this song. So just keeping an ear out and listening for this soundtrack was huge for me. Also, what is happening? What? I just did all this for nothing? What is happening? Oh, it's because the rotation got messed up. That's what it is. Okay, so we got to apply rotation, which I was telling Joe never to do the other day. So now Joe can freak out about me having ruined things. And now we can go based off of the Y, and we should be looking good. Yes, perfect. Okay, finally we can do this. And I think I want to maybe grab this guy and choose a little amount to do that by. I just did all of this for nothing. It sounds like my parents talking about me. Honestly? Sounds about right to me. Just kidding. Just kidding. Mr. Six, you are a wonderful addition to our green earth. You're a wonderful little addition to this little marble we got going on over here. All right, let's go ahead and make all this just a little bit chunky, especially on these little divisions, so it can look the part. And I'm going to say that we are kind of cooking with fire at this point. I am very proud of this guy. And we're going to keep that top one really smooth to sort of emphasize how interesting and cool this is. Oh man, I love this. This is great. Okay, so the last things I'm going to do is I'm going to take a smooth, and we're going to smooth out... Nope, not that much. Actually, I'm going to use a crease. We're going to crease this manually, I think. Creasing should do the job just fine. Not half bad. We just diminish a couple little pieces of this. Make it a little smaller, a little bit easier to work with. Make him look maybe a little bit more fragile, which I think is a good look for like a sacred deer. That's the stuff right there. That one being nice and big, I like. This one being nice and big, I do not like at all. So we're going to push you on down. What's your favorite animal? Oh, okay. Yep. I got a clear answer on this one. Favorite animal. There is no order of importance to this. But my favorite animal, my three favorite animals are a raccoon, just a common raccoon, a crow. I like crows a little bit more than I like ravens. In my experience, crows typically are a little bit smarter. But both crows and ravens are fine. And then I really like flying foxes. The bats. The most bats are good. I like bats. I like bats a lot. So I like all of like the Halloween type animals. Big fan of those guys. Big fan of those peeps. Those guys do some good work. This guy is good looking. Color me a little in love with this guy. Okay, we're going to do a little extra stuff here. I'm going to throw in a shape up here. Today is Friday the 13th? Absolutely. That's it. Today's the spooky day. Hear me out. I got an idea. Let's do 6. And like 60. Maybe we'll even do 5. 5 is a good number. I'm going to do 5. We're going to do a auto normal to get that looking smooth, but that not looking smooth. That looks perfect to me. This is it. Check this out. You're going to like the way you look. You're going to love the way you look here. You're going to love the way you look on this one. There we go. Okay, we got ourselves a little sacred symbol inside here. Here's the idea. I'm going to grab the top part of this. We're going to turn on proportion. I think I want linear proportion. I think linear is going to do the job just fine. Ooh, I want to twist it. Not what I wanted. How am I going to do this? Can I twist it? I don't think a twist is going to work. I don't think a twist like this is going to do what I want. But I'm going to try a twist real quick. What am I looking for? I'm looking for a displacement. That was kind of cool. It did look cool. We want... Where is it? Simple deform. There we go. We want to twist. On the Y or the Z? Okay, you know what? There's an easier way for me to do this, but it's going to require me to do a little bit more effort. So give me one moment to figure this guy out. We're going to go ahead and make ourselves a cylinder of distance 5. This is going to be a little bit of a struggle, but it'll be worth it if it works. So we got ourselves a nice little cylinder here. Get it nice and thin. Work harder, make it better. That's what we're doing. That's what we're all about around here. A little bit of hard work goes a long way. Okay, so I want to add 58 of these guys because we already have 2 for each of the poles. And the goal is to take linear, and then we're going to go ahead and rotate it around this axis to make a nice screw, and it's going to go all the way down. We'll just do a nice 180. There's no reason not to do a 180. It's pretty good looking. Make sure that it's going all the way to its end. It does. You're going to go? Maybe back later? No worries. Mr. Six, you have yourself a nice night. Thanks for hanging out. We appreciate you. Okay, let's go ahead and pop on some normals to get that looking good. Look at this little spaghetti boy that we made. Look at that sweet hug. Silken, you're so sweet. You're so nice to people. Are you this nice in the real world, or do you turn it off when you're around normal living Earth humans? Because I think I turn it off a little bit. I think I turn off my niceness in real life. It can get pretty exhausting, if I'm being perfectly honest. There we go. We're going to pop this guy up to here. Get it in the shape that we want, and then we're going to come back to you, and you are going to get turned into that. We'll go ahead and do our measurements in a little bit, but first let me just see if it works. So curve, curve. Oh, I see a big problem. I see a problem. We all see the problem. We all see the problem, don't we? Please have enough. Please have enough. Please have enough. Thank you. We all see the problem. It has to be 360. It cannot be less than that. Math? Yeah, you gotta math it out. You don't do your math, you're gonna have a hard time in life. Shout out to all the peeps who are like, you don't use math every day. Yeah, you do. You use math basically every day. You don't use trigonometry every day, but you use math basically every day. Okay, so that's a 360 angle. Now I can take this and pop up our circle one more time. Do a 90 degree, pop him up to where we like him. Okay, now we got it nice and correct. Let's go ahead and throw on our curve modifier one more time. You know what? For the time being, I'm going to put this at 0 on the X and 5 there so that I can put you on 5 and 0 as well. Just so we can keep them linked up correctly. Okay, so you we're going to want to reduce that way. And we're going to make you longer until you connect. I definitely don't know enough about animal anatomy. Yeah, I mean, animal anatomy is challenging. Oh, here we go. Okay, we're in business. Okay, 1. We're going to creep our way up. 1.005 is almost right. 1.006 is literally what we want. Okay, now we're going to lower our divisions a little bit. We made ourselves a little Mobius strip. It's going to turn out to be a little difficult for sure. So, first things first, let's not think about that for just a moment. Shade it flat. Let's get into here and hit apply. Now we can go into edit mode and we're going to fuse these two edges together. So we're going to merge by distance. Did we lose track of what we were doing by a long shot? Sure did. Sure did. Now, is there a point in the middle here? Is there a face that I have to delete? There is a face that I have to delete. And now we have a nice ring. That could be a cool effect if you want to put a camera in here and follow in this while it rotates. It'd be a nice little effect. Do you want to hear a neat story about Mobius strips? I absolutely want to hear a neat story about Mobius strips. Please share that with us. Okay, these are going to be called elk eyes. Cube is elk antlers. Just follow the bliss? Absolutely. That's all we're doing. I just lost track of what I was doing for quite a bit, but you know what? I'm not sad about it. Can't be that upset. This is technically not a Mobius strip because it does a 360 instead of a 180, but since it's an odd number, I can't realistically put it onto a 180. So for all my mathematicians out there, I know it's not a Mobius strip. You can rest assured. You can go to bed tonight knowing that I know what a Mobius strip is. If that's what's keeping you up at night, I apologize. You know what? I think we have to shade it flat. I don't love shading it flat, but I think we have to. We'll figure that out in the edit, maybe. We'll do like an edge emphasis or something to really scale this down. Maybe we'll give it like a really high roughness. There we go. Look at this beaut. Make sure it's wrapped in the antlers correctly, and we got it. She's got a little portal to another world coming out in front of her. She has antlers, so it's not a girl, but she's a girl to me. I'm not sure that I could do it again right now, but when I proposed, I did a thing where I make a paper. When I proposed, I did a thing where I made a paper strip and cut it into 2 interlocking rings. Then I proposed to my wife. I mean, that's very cute because proposals and all that, but what does that have to do with anything? Like, you're talking about you did 2 strips interlocking, like you two together were in love with each other? What were the 2 strips? What did that have to do with anything? Okay. With a speech about how our love was eternal. Oh, yes, absolutely. That's very cute. Very sweet. Okay, so we're going to do a really basic, easy setup here. Just the easiest setup you've ever seen before. We're just going to use a facing node into here. And we're going to use just the most default thing we've ever done. You've seen this 1,000 times. You know exactly what I'm about to do. There we go. And now she follows you. And we're going to give her nice red eyes. Like that. We're going to go far. So if you cut a Mobius strength lengthwise, I think it turns into 2 interlocking rings of paper. Yeah, it's something like that. I know what you're talking about. It is very cute. You're a very cute man. I think we wanted to go black. I think we wanted to go black, and I think we want to maybe... That's probably about as good as we're going to get it. And then I'm going to take this and lower that saturation way down. There we go. The only difference that I think I want to make is I think we want to add another... Oh, no, it's not going to work. Never mind. Let's not do that. Okay, so we got her looking like this. And now we're going to do the exact same thing down here to the emission. There you go. So now she follows us. Wherever we go, she looks. She's looking at us. I think it might be a little bit better if we just use standard values. Yeah, we're just going to use standard values here. There's no reason not to. Bring this down just a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so she follows us. Wherever we go, she follows. She's looking at us. And now, let's do the antlers. We're going to be right at time for this. So I'm definitely done doing sculpting for the day, which was a nice little break. I think being able to say that I was done doing sculpting a little bit earlier was probably pretty nice for me. Okay, so here's how we're going to do this. I'm going to pop in, I think, a Musgrave. And then we're going to dirty the inside of the Musgrave, because that's what antlers usually look like in my experience. We're not going to do any kind of crazy vector math stuff today, even though I was doing all that yesterday. We're going to keep it pretty easy today. No reason not to keep it easy. Okay, so the Musgrave does not want to process very nicely on this. So if we scale this guy way up, that looks better. A lot better. we're going to go ahead and throw on a color ramp here to differentiate it, give it a little bit of these peaks and valleys. Just give it a little bit of substance so it has a little bit of stuff to cling on to. I kind of want to randomly distribute it, but it should be fine. It should be fine just the way it looks. And then we're going to up some of these details and make it look a little bit more real. Now, the question is, how do we want to do this black? Because I think the black should not be... This is going to be weird. Ooh. There we go. Now we have some soft diffusing. Okay, I need to be more mindful of using the bump on the strength. I focus almost exclusively on height, but if we do some strength stuff, we could get some interesting results. So let's do that. And then I think this is one of the few instances where lachronicity will actually help us. Yeah, not that much though. A little bit of lachronicity to make this look a little cloudier. And now we take it and we make our little dirty nodes. What is lachronicity? Boy, I wish I understood. That is kind of a SEMO question, if I'm being perfectly honest. The only thing I know is that lachronicity makes things look cloudier. So if you're looking at this, right, there's like a repeating pattern. You can kind of see like a mushroomy looking pattern. And as you lower the lachronicity, it becomes more... it becomes less predictable. So like upping lachronicity makes things like a bunch of little beach balls, whereas lowering it makes it into like mountains. Like you get more of a mountainous look the less your lachronicity is. Which the more I'm looking at, I kind of do want to lower lachronicity. Okay, that's going to be our boy right there. We're going to take strength, leave it like that, distance. Sure, that'll be our distance. Okay, bada boom. She kind of looks like a scary ghost right now, which I love. Okay, we do have just this point here. Where is this point coming from? What was that? Why did that look like that? I'm not sure what that was, but we'll just move back from here. So I'm going to plug this guy into here, make sure that our scale looks right. So I think we want the opposite of this. And we're going to go ahead and grab you and make you darker and more orange, less saturated, darker. And last but not least, I'm going to take the scale, drop it down to something a little bit more usable. That'll do. There's my little antler. Okay, perfect. So what I want to do now is grab the roughness and up that roughness to maybe 7. We're going to put a bit of clear coat on there, but the clear coat is decently rough. It's got a lot of sheen. The sheen is tinted correctly. Tint is high. I think that's it. It has kind of a silky look to it, but I don't think I can do the silk. So I think that's as good as I can make my antlers right now. They could use a little bit of love, but I don't know how to make bones super well. So we'll come back to that. Next up, we have Sacred Icon. To quote Halo, I believe. Okay, so Sacred Icon. It's almost exclusively just going to be an emission. So I'm going to lower all of this to nothing. Actually, I'm going to give it clear coat. Clear coat's going to look good on this guy. especially with how weird those like artificial edges look. Okay, so we want light to come from this. Do we want a rainbow? We're going to do a rainbow just to see what it looks like. I don't think we want a rainbow, but I'm going to do a rainbow because why not? Why not have a rainbow, right? Who cares? So I'm going to go to emission. We're going to add a gradient with a radial. We're going to make basically the Apple loading screen. That little rotating wheel guy. Is it rotated still? It's not rotated still. Okay, cool. So we should be looking pretty solid to just do this thing. Although, I don't know why it's so white on one edge. Why does it look like that? What? Why does it look so crazy? There we go. Okay, so we want this to 90, I think. And then you also to 90? I believe that's what we want. That looks pretty weird. You like the yin-yang look? It is interesting. We might play with it. I'm not sure yet. There's some interesting stuff I can do. I'm just worried about running out of time because we're going a little slow. We took our sweet time at the beginning, which was good, important, but I think we're done doing that now. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to set lightness to 0.5, saturation to 1. We're going to grab you. We're going to copy you. We're going to do far. So you should be like 0.1. You should also be pretty low. You should also be pretty low. What? Why does it look so bad? Why is gradient the worst? It wants to split it. Yeah, really, like, it wants to split it so bad. Okay, there is a better way for me to do this. It's not my favorite way to do things, but there is a better way that I can do this. So let's go back to RGB, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then now I should be able to go 7.2. Nope. If I do this correctly, I know the math doesn't check out here. We're going to figure the math out in just a moment. I'll get back to you, I promise. Okay, so now we should add 2 more. 1, 2, distribute evenly. And you're now 0.9, 0.8. And you're 0.9. Seven, 8, 9. There's a lot of purple. I think that's as good as we can get it. And I can go ahead and take Z and put Z back down to 1 to get it looking a little bit better. What? Huh. I think that's our best attempt at making the loading symbol right there. I don't know why it wants to do these really clear lines. I even manually did it, but it doesn't like it. Which makes me think the color profile is weird, or I don't know how color works, or something. But that's going to be that. So, sure. There we go. There he is. So I think this is the end of the first part of stream. And I'm going to go ahead and give this guy... For how pleased I am, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. For actual effort, I'm going to give it like a 7 out of 10. Because it's pretty good looking. If I'm going to say so myself, it actually looks really good. The texture on the horns is bad, and the legs are bad. And he's a little long. Otherwise, just about perfect. Just about absolutely perfect. Pretty pleased with this. Our eyes are naturally more sensitive to certain colors, so visually even the math might not be the same. Probably. It could be that our eyes are different too, and some of us are more attuned to certain colors. Like, I'm really attuned to this red and this purple right here, but everything else looks good like a gradient. But that red and that purple are really gross looking. He looks good? Thank you. That's very appreciated. Oh, I know how to fix the red. I don't know how to fix the purple, but I actually know how to fix the red. There's 2 reds occupying 2 stops on this for no reason. So I would actually move all of this closer to the red. But we're not going to worry about that. Okay, so that's that. Simo, have you posted your deer for us? Can you post our deer? Can I take a look at your deer? Is it ready for use? In a moment. Okay. Well, I'm going to be moving on to Gartic Phone here. So, everybody, we're going to be playing some Gartic Phone. So, shout out to that. So, I'm going to go ahead and end the first part. Peace out, YouTube.